Hello, how's it going? I want to talk to you briefly about the thesis statement for major assignment number 2, because I think a conversation about the thesis will help folks understand the overall organization of the assignment. And so to do this, I've decided to craft a thesis on the GNC discourse that we all analyzed over the last week. And I'm doing this because all of us, hopefully now, have a strong understanding of how that discourse plays out. And so you'll see how we can take all that stuff that we saw and we can turn it into a thesis. So I'd like to share the thesis, then talk about the individual moves that are being made, and then briefly touch on this conceptual template that I'm providing that I hope helps you guys as you put together your projects. So to start, let me share this thesis. An analysis of GNC will show that this company uses language in a variety of ways. The company uses medical-sounding language in order to create the illusion of medical credibility. Also, the company creates insecurity in the consumer, whether male or female, and then uses positively connoting language to convince the consumer that vitamins are always necessary and can only benefit them. And they use sales language to sell their products. When combined, these categories demonstrate that GNC manipulates the customer's understanding of science and trust in the medical industry in order to make a profit. Ultimately, GNC's discourse parallels a variety of similar pseudoscientific discourses, from fad diet plans to anti-vaccine organizations and websites. In all these cases, science and medical jargon create a thinly veiled cast of credibility, a cast that's used to generate profits, or in some more dangerous cases, reframe the public's thinking altogether. So, there's a lot happening in here, but I hope I can clarify. And the first point I want to make is that there are actually 3 big moves in the thesis. And so let me start by actually separating things out. If we look now, we can see that there are actually distinct things happening here, here, and here. In this first part of the thesis, you guys are doing the analysis. And when I say analysis, what I mean is you guys are investigating your given discourse and you're looking for the patterns or the categories that you see. And so in this case with GNC, we see that one of those patterns is this kind of faux medical jargon, right? This illusion of medical credibility. And then I also see the pattern of creating this narrative where people need vitamins. And then of course there's the language of sales. So here there's 3 distinct patterns or categories that I can see GNC using. And so this is the analytical or analysis section. And all of you can craft this section by investigating your own discourse, by looking for those patterns and those categories, and then by putting them together. And so let's call this the blue section. Whoops, that was the wrong blue. Sorry about that. Here we go. Here now we talk about the values, the beliefs, or the ideologies. And so this is kind of the synthesis, where you're taking a look at all of this work that you've done here, and you're thinking about the foundational values that must be in place in order for the discourse to operate like this. And so here I've written, when combined, these categories demonstrate that GNC manipulates the customer's understanding of science and trust in the medical industry in order to make a profit. So I've brought in those ideas of sales, I've brought in the ideas of manipulation, and I've brought in the ideas of medicine. And so here is the way that I see, or excuse me, here is kind of the foundational value or belief system that I see undergirds what it is that GNC does. We'll call that the yellow section. And then finally, the final section is the connection section, where we think about those values and we think about whether or not they only work with our given discourse, in this case GNC, or whether they can be applied to other discourses that swirl around us as well. And so when I think about this, for me, I start to think that, it's not just GNC that tries to play with this medical credibility. We see this in various other discourses as well. And so I've provided some examples here, and I've built a conclusion. This final section is the section that's going to demand that we go outside and do a little bit of research to support the claim that we ultimately end up on. So let's call this section here the green section. And so now, for us, we can actually think of the assignment as having 3 separate sections, the blue, the yellow, and the green. And for this week, we're really going to concentrate on that blue section. Finally, if you scroll down, right, or if you click on the document and take a look, you'll see that I've crafted a template. So I've actually rewritten the thesis here, except I've taken out all of the content, so to speak. And I've done this just to give you a guide for the sorts of moves that you have to make. There's the analysis move, there's the values move, and there's the connection move. And so take a look at the template. I'm not forcing you to copy the template. I'm hoping that you can understand conceptually what's going on, and that will help you organize your paper. Hope this helps. Take care.